this is Bob Santelli from the Bruce Springsteen Archives and Center for American Music, and welcome to one of the very first attempts here at using Zoom to correspond with members of the E Street Band and former members of the E Street Band. And we're especially interested in talking with you because you have a brand new album out that's really, really amazing. And we're hoping that you'll be able to spend a few minutes talking about that with us.
I'd be happy to talk to anyone who wants to talk about this music. So yeah, thanks
Well,
for having me. I appreciate it. I really do.
You bet. The album is called Eyes Wide Open, and this is it's been a while since you released your last CD. Can you talk? How long has it been?
I don't know, it's been over like, I think 10, 12 years, something like that.
That's a long time.
It's a long time. Part of that is due to, I had a good long run of work, of touring work with different people, touring with Peter Gabriel, touring with Sting a lot, and different things as part of it. But I really think what happened after the election in 2016, I think from January 2017, I got really interested in finishing the project as a project. I've been working on it kind of behind the scenes for a while, but the whole result of the election, it really, I was devastated, and it just really put a fire under me to like say something about it. The only thing I can do, not the only thing I do, but the most important thing I can do as an artist is to express myself. And the reason that those songs are the songs that they are is really my reaction to the state of our nation, the state of our society, the basic energy that's just flowing around the world now. And it's not just America. If you really notice, especially on the artwork on the album cover, there's different scenes of protest, but they're protest scenes from all over the world.
Yeah.
Not just in America, not about Black issues, but I mean, there's really, it's from Hong Kong. I was also moved very much by what the people of Hong Kong are going through now. It's tragic, this really terrible situation where they're being treated like, and it's some kind of Orwellian, horrible Chinese Communist government move where the language used is language. It sounds kind of okay, but the effect on the populace is devastating. To not be able to protest, suddenly you're a criminal, you're going to go to jail when you just raise your voice about something. On the other side where, okay, so say you protest something against the Chinese government, just a speech, a letter, a painting, a poem, whatever. They can come and collect you from Hong Kong and put you on a plane and put you in China. You will never be seen again. The terrible things that the Chinese communist government is doing to the Uyghur people there. They got concentration camps set up and they call it re-education. It's horrible. And that's just one example of a lot of things that are going on around the world where people are really up against it. They're up against the wall, and it's really an incredible time. And people can only take so much. Individually, tribally, whatever, however you want to break it up and dissect it, there's only so much that any system can take, and then it will break.
Yeah.
It will either self-correct or it's done. You know? And we're at that kind of point now.
Well, the album, of course, you mentioned the election in 2016. You know, that was a while ago, but this record comes out relatively recently, and how coincidental, ironic, call it what you will, but the songs on here are almost scary. It's scary how pertinent these songs are, because for those people who haven't heard the album, I mean, the first four cuts, the first half of the album, it's almost as if you had written it for George Floyd and the situation that African Americans are facing, and the whole Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, it's incredible how pertinent this is now.
It's disturbingly so, and we finished the record in November, around the end of November, and that was late. I've been trying to wrap it up sooner than that, but I recently got and you know, the whole time I was working on it, I sort of I had a sense of that certain people would really get this, that it would be important and resonant for some people and appreciated by even by people who weren't going through such experiences. I really felt that. But since it came out, I think we finished technically the work in late November. It came out March the 10th as a release on downloads and everything. And I recently got an email from my engineer saying like it's shocking
Yeah.
how relevant those songs are. I mean, I did write it to spotlight those things, but yeah, it's really I go back and forth, Bob, between being I'm a consider myself an optimistic person in general, just by nature, positive and optimistic. But you know, I'm 66 years old now, and I remember going through these things in cycles ever since I was born. I remember before there was a civil rights movement, quotation marks, you know, the Watts riots, um, Florida, all these different things. But we were talking privately the other day. I fluctuate between feeling like this is either the beginning of the end of some serious negativity in which we actually can elevate to a better society holistically, or it's the beginning of aggravation like you've never seen. And
Yeah.
I really hope I'm wrong about the negative side of it, you know, but
The,
there's
the,
not more time, you know.
I didn't know you to be an especially political person per se. Is this the first time where you have written overtly political songs?
No, no, I've always been political, but it's been more subtle. I'll take an example of my my musical political activism goes back to my first album. There's a song on there called Dixie.
Yeah.
And what it is, I reharmonized. There's a very famous composer named Charles Ives. And Charles Ives was actually the son of a wealthy man. He was a banker. But Charles Ives was an incredible composer, and he used his compositions to make political points, among other things. The guy was a genius. So I used to listen to, I remember one time, oh gosh, I was still in the band, and anytime you went to Columbia Records in the city, you couldn't walk out of that building with like bags of records. They were just giving you anything. What do you want? Classical, country, anything. You could just walk out of there with records. And of course, they dumped a bunch of stuff on Bruce one time, and I was visiting him in Long Branch, and a bunch of stuff. He goes, Davey, you know, do you like this stuff? And I remember he gave me The Swan of Chanela, some classical piece, which is like Debussy, and a box set with Charles Ives, you know, and I was way into Charles Ives. Anyway, I was living in Richmond, Virginia at the time, sharing an apartment with Ernest Carter. And I decided to rewrite Dixie. And if it's on the first Force of Feelings,
Hearts and feelings. Sure.
it's the same melody, but it's not the same melody. I took this happy major melody and it's very dark and minor. But if you hear it, the rhythm of the melody is, you couldn't mistake it, but it's just like someone came and put a whole like dark filter on it.
Yeah.
But that's an instrumental tune. That's a subtle thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I have to say that,
I remember that. And you know, it's kind of interesting because that came out, when did that come out? 75 or so?
yeah, something like
Yeah.
that.
So the civil rights movement is not as vibrant and not as energetic as it was in the 60s by that particular point. So I remember hearing that track for the first time, and now that you told me this, I missed the point entirely, you know. But you're right about Charles Ives, because Charles Ives was a great American composer who used a lot of American roots music as inspiration, you know, like Aaron Copland and others. But Ives is, yeah, that's kind of interesting. Do you, on this new album, I mean, you know, you have Will Calhoun, for instance, on the record,
Yep.
and others, Vinny Colaiuta playing drums.
Yeah.
There is an attempt not just to be political, but there's an inherent funk to this music that really shows you, in my opinion, in not a new light, because you always had those elements of funk, but in a brighter light, because
Yeah.
most people who perhaps know you in the post Springsteen era know you either as a player with Sting or Peter Gabriel, but
Right.
as a jazz player, hardcore jazz player. And here, of course, there are elements of jazz, but there's these incredible funk patterns and melodies that just drive the lyrics and drive the inherent politicism of the record.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, I won't take credit for how funky it is. That's down to the musicians who interpreted it,
Right.
really. And I mean, it's direction from me. I certainly intended for it to be funky, but you know, you have to call the right people to get the result you want. And fortunately, you know, the whole record is basically me and five drummers, me and five different drummers. There's nobody else on the record, me and five drummers. And but I fortunately, I think I found the right people for the right job on
Yeah.
each sort of song, you know. So, but yeah, it's I say it on the liner notes. I had such a revelation working. It was fun. There's parts of it that were just downright joyous fun. The discovery, like the blossoming of an idea,
Yeah.
or like you just found, oh, just the right lyric for the end of the second verse, you know, when you didn't have it yesterday, you know, but you stayed with it. And these things that just come to you. Sometimes you're walking down the street and, oh God, that's it. You know, you're not always with an instrument in your hand or whatever, but there's a time when the music, when you're finishing something, it just is all consuming. I don't listen to any other music. I'd have to be in the car and maybe hear it by accident, but I tend to listen to the radio in the car. I listen to public radio. I don't listen to music in the car too much, really.
So you're not listening to music at home?
Not a, well. Now I'm in a phase. Since this project is done, once I'm
Ah,
finished with the project, yeah, then I start listening to things, and I'm really open to receiving, you know, different things. My wife and I, we moved here to Hawaii the end of January, and the radio station in Hawaii is quite a different thing. The only connection that we would have to East Coast is, in fact, public radio. They get NPR, you know, PRI and all that that comes around. It's commercial free. It's beautiful stuff. But the rest of the radio, it's like very strange. It's just kind of Hawaiian reggae.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really kind of crazy. It's like, wow, and there's a lot of it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's
Oh,
one station where you can hear like, you know, a Peter Gabriel track or a Sting track or Journey or something in the sort of FM and pantheon. But it's been an interesting experience.
well, it not only is it different musically, but you're coming from Woodstock, New York. So
Yeah.
winters in Woodstock as opposed to winters in Kauai. It's got to be that's got to impact your music to some degree.
Listen, man, one of the reasons that we're here is that I can't take winters in New York State anymore. I can't do it. I put my time in. I grew up on the Jersey Shore. You know, it used to snow up to your eyeballs back then, you know. And at my age now, I'm treating myself to like the nicest climate I can find. And I love this place. The first time I came to Hawaii was uh, late in '80s, early '90s, on tour with somebody, and I just the minute the plane door opened, I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
this is where I should be
Well,
all the
it's a
time.
nice place. But will you tour behind this album? Are there plans to go out on a road?
Bob, I will tour as soon as we actually can tour,
Yeah.
as soon as
Yeah.
we can go from city to city without a quarantine, not just that, but country to country.
Yeah.
You know, yes, I definitely want to play this music live, and it'll happen
Yeah.
somehow. But I think it's one of the things that I don't feel so good about. I struggle to stay optimistic about it because you see in the business we're in, when you're touring on the level that Bruce tours, or the level that, you know, Sting or Peter tours, even the level that like a local band, the minute you get out of America and want to do a world tour or do anything other than the one territory of the United States, air travel has to be so open that you can go from one country to the other without a quarantine period. Otherwise, it's impossible.
Yeah.
You've got hotel schedules, plane flights, and all that to make. You can't fly to Germany and hang out for 2 weeks to do your
Right.
show.
Oh no.
So we're
And it's
well screwed. We're
it's a shame because this music is so relevant now. I mean, people need to hear it, and the best way to hear it, of course, is live.
yeah.
And but
The way that
clearly,
the way that I'm trying to deal with not having shows to do is continue to do. Did I send you the link for the lyric video? Have you seen that?
no, no,
Oh,
no.
my mistake. When we finish talking, I'm going to send you a link to a video that we did. My friend Craig McCord from Slow Films, who did the art package for me, that you have. We put together a video. I did some lip syncing here in the house and sent it to him. He's back in Woodstock, New York. and he did some great imagery, edited a beautiful thing together, and it's pretty powerful. But it's for the title track for Eyes Wide Open.
Not okay. You will not believe what some people say. Up is down, the sky is on the ground. Shoot you in the back is the name of a town somewhere. Somewhere in America. Keep your eyes wide open. Keep your eyes wide open so you can really see it. Every day, every lie they say looks like the portrait of Dorian Gray. Maybe white, maybe black, but you can kiss my alternative fact.
So I think, like, again, the way to deal with not touring is to have a strong video presence. We're going to do videos for each of the 4 vocal songs.
Right.
I think the next one will probably be Urban Psalm, the one that has Dr. King on it.
Right.
But all 4 of those vocal songs will have a video, you know, stretched out.
Yeah.
Over the course of this year.
Yeah, well, I hope for sake of fans and also for people involved in the movement here that they get a chance to hear these songs because they truly are wonderful. They're powerful. They're emotionally intense, and they carry a very important message. So, David, congratulations on a wonderful record, and I hope, as I'm sure many of your fans, that you do get a chance to get out there, take it to the road where it'll be even more impactful and more important to those of us who believe that what's going on now is the start of something new. Finally,
Yeah.
it's been a long time since youth empowered themselves. You have to go all the way back to when we were kids, right, in the 1960s, and now it's happening again. It's very, it's encouraging. I'm optimistic. I think. And you should be too, because with people like you writing these kind of songs and with those kids in the street doing the real heavy lifting, I think we got a chance.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I mean, again, it's an everyday thing. I don't struggle, but I force myself to find something positive in all of it and not be too affected by the negativity. These things are hard to watch. You see things. I mean, we won't get into it now, but I had things happen to me from police in Los Angeles where I was stopped for no reason and, almost got the crap beat out of me. So, but yeah, I think that's really it. We have to hang on to that. And it sure will be different. But again, God Almighty, it's about time. It's about time.
Yeah.